Hello again, Achieve Virtual Education staff. It's time again for our weekly update, posting here in It's Learning as well. This being the video version with, I'm not going to read each slide to you, you can do that, so I'll try to give some time on each slide, but then maybe give some extra information or clarify some things that, if you were just reading on your own or not seeing in My Big Campus, you get the bonus version. So here we go. Professional development, if you missed it this past Tuesday, we did cover kind of It's Learning, kind of showcased it. Michelle had a couple of content courses moved over, specifically adult roles that she showed off what a class would look like. Talked a little bit about the training class. We did record it, so if I were you, as all of us will be in It's Learning as soon as January, it'd probably be beneficial, very beneficial, to pop in there, check it out, and see what you're going to be getting yourself into and what it looks like, just so you have some references. As a reminder for our professional development as a school and a school with a school improvement plan, it is required for us to have that school improvement plan and follow it, which is what we build our professional development off of. So certainly you're getting important need to knows for each one of these. You do receive PGPs. And then, as I stated in my first weekly update, it is one of those ways I determine who's getting students. If you don't attend any of these, then you're not keeping up on what we're doing and changes that need made in your content. So I really can't utilize you unless I get desperate, in which case I'm often looking for new subject area teachers. So please stay up to date on the professional development. Our one next September is actually an online assignment from Michelle, so it'll be on your own. So there isn't a set meeting day currently at this time. So be looking for more information on that. It may revolve around the training course. So stay tuned and be on the lookout for Michelle's email. Number 2, contact information. As I'm looking through Genius and My Big Campus for students, when I log in as them, I'm noticing a few of the classes on the Home tab don't have office hours or your contact information. Remember, that is one of the expectations. You need to feel available. You're not going to be available 24/7 for these students, but you do need to have some availability kind of cleaned out for when you're able to be online or potentially respond to phone calls and text messages. A lot of you are pretty flexible and just take text messages, but that ability, the contact information does need to be posted. As a reminder, I require it in Genius as well because parents don't have access to My Big Campus, so the only place they can find your contact information is when they log in as a parent into Genius. So please have it in both places. If you need a reminder of how to do that, the step-by-step instructions, let me know. I have a handout for that. It is in the My Big Campus teacher workroom, and probably currently in It's Learning teacher workroom as well, since all that stuff is migrated over. State testing updates. This is important for you to know, period, especially if you're teaching in a traditional school setting as well. Keep your eyes and ears open regarding state tests. They have changed. For instance, last year AccuPlacer was a spring test. Both parts were in the spring, and spring was very busy. This year, AccuPlacer Part 1 is around October, and AccuPlacer Part 2 is, I think, February. And so both will be required this year. Last year Part 2 was not required, but it will be this year. So a whole lot of fun there, just a whole lot more testing. So this fall semester we have the PSAT, which affects the AccuPlacer. If you don't pass the specific parts, you have to take the corresponding AccuPlacer, which for Achieve, as most of our students honestly end up having to take the AccuPlacer. And then in December you have the ECA, or end of course assessments. Then for the spring we do have AccuPlacer Part 2, but then starting in March and April we have 2 parts of the English 10 I-STEP. Last year it was just a part of the ECA test, and it was called the College and Career Readiness Exam. For some of those sophomores that needed both, it took their ECA 4 tests to 7 tests. This year they have decided to separate those. So the spring, starting in February, we'll have the AccuPlacer Part 2. March we'll have the English 10 I-STEP Part 1. April is the English I-STEP Part 2. And then by the time May rolls around, we're back to ECAs that also those 10th graders are required to take, along with any junior and senior who has not yet passed those. So that's all the state testing and kind of the timelines this year. If you're in a traditional setting, that is not, talking about the WIDA access tests or some of the other AP exams, those kinds of things that are going to be taking place. So stay tuned, but be aware, and information to your students will be going out. I may ask for your help in reminding your students how important these tests are, as they are all high stakes anymore. Back to school. Next Thursday, I will be hosting a back to school webinar for our students and families. The ones that are already enrolled, I will hold a second in September after we close enrollment. We will close enrollment Thursday, September 17th. The official student count date is the 18th, that Friday. That's where all the schools in Indiana take attendance, and that's who the state's going to pay them for. So anyways, we're closing the 17th, so we have Friday to make sure we're all cleaned up and have everybody we're going to have. So I'll have one next Thursday. Feel free to join us. It's always good to have teachers. You can pose questions. You can help me answer questions that may come up. Last year during these, I didn't hold my first one until after ADM Day, so we were about 6 weeks in, and I think I had 2 attendees. So it so far has not been a well-attended event. I'm hoping by doing it earlier in the semester, we have most of our students already in, but also a little more participation, as we're not 6 weeks into the school year, and it's kind of like, well, I know how to progress and those kinds of things. Just another way to help our families and help from the office communicate some important information. Going to be talking about final exams and scheduling those, the state exams and the requirements and how we set those up, regular norms, how to contact your teacher, who to contact and when, for instance, Miss Goodnight, the office, or you as the teacher. Those are all going to be topics we discuss that evening. The Wayne Learning Hub, again, we keep talking about It's Learning. The name will be the Wayne Learning Hub. That's what we'll call it once it's kind of implemented, and you're going to see me more and more transition to calling it that. But just know it is the LMS is It's Learning. Please, again, stay up on the PD. It's the second slide regarding professional development, but that's how important it is. Stay up to date. And one of the tasks in the training course does require you to ask her to set up your sandbox so you can finish the training. So if you haven't asked her for the sandbox, we know you haven't started the training. So please be aware of that and stay up on it and get into your sandbox. The sandbox is where you can play, tinker. It's not any content specific, but it's where you see how to do stuff. Inputting a quick video for feedback, inserting a specific assignment type, and there are some new neat assignments, that kind of stuff. So again, the Wayne Learning Hub, aka It's Learning, stay up to date on it and get in your training course. Final exam scheduling. This is always stressful, always a million questions, but don't forget, it's never too early for the students to start investigating where they're going to be able to set these up instead of waiting until the week before the semester ends. If you've worked for Achieve a while, you've probably got a good system in place, but have your students start now. That's my advice in making sure they know when and how and where they're going to take their final exams. These are part-time students. If they attend another school, they can find somebody at their school, more than likely, guidance counselor, teacher, that will help them out. If it's outside of that, if they live outside of the Indianapolis area, they can contact their local public library. Some do, some don't, some charge a fee. If that's not an option, we do have testing during the Ben Davis Extended Day hours, which is 4 to 9 p.m., but we need students to arrive no later than 8. That gives them an hour to get their final exam. Our staff is leaving at 9. If the public library is not an option, they can pay Ivy Tech or Sylvan Learning Centers. That's, again, up to them and on them. And they may find other testing options. We've had a lot. Just use your best judgment, as long as it's not a family member, an obvious family member. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time investigating, but if from the email address you can tell it's a kind of business entity, that is fine. Again, I would reiterate, they should be thinking about this now, not in December. The other key point, remember, you can extend students at the end of the semester, but they must be passing and have 80% of the course completed in order to grant an extension. Otherwise, we'll be completing them. That does include this final exam. So please be aware of that. There is a test ticket also that students should be given access to. They can walk into a public library with that ticket in case that public library has problems, concerns, or questions. All our office contact information is there so we can help. Website, I do this at the beginning of every year, but we don't have everyone's picture that's teaching for us. We have approximately 60 teachers that are available at any given time throughout the school year, and I do not have nearly that many on the website. If you're a Wayne teacher, your images have been taken down as they evolve that website with Site Strategics, so I can't even simply copy and paste a picture from the email contact that used to be up there. So you might check out our website if you don't see yourself. I need an image you wouldn't mind having on our website along with a quick bio. I encourage last year, if your bio is, I've been teaching for 6 years, that's a bio that's going to need to be updated every year, obviously, because next year it'll be 7 years. So you might use a very generic bio, just a little bit about who you are, where you went to school maybe, and leave it at that. Lastly, enjoy your weekend. I thought this was a pretty funny image. People's responses when I say I want to be a middle school teacher. In case you didn't know, I was a middle school teacher, so I thought it was pretty funny. Clearly, I'm mentally unstable, and that's okay. So have a great weekend. The weather's supposed to be fantastic, and I look forward, as always, again to working for another week for Achieve Virtual.